We're making toffee today. It's really easy to make. There's so many variations. It's equal amounts of butter and sugar, with a little bit of salt, a little bit of vanilla. I've got some melted butter here. That's what we're gonna put our toffee on. So now we need to melt our butter slowly. I'm gonna cut it up a little bit so that'll happen quicker. I've got unsalted butter here. Unsalted butter is a better quality butter. You can't hide it with coloring or salt. And we get that into a heavy bottom copper pan, something that's gonna transfer the heat well. You don't want to use a thin pot for this because then you risk burning it. A medium-low heat. And we're going to melt this butter down first before we add the sugar. If you want, you can put the nuts on the bottom and pour the toffee over it. Or you could pour the toffee down and top it with chocolate and put nuts on top of it at that time. However you want to build it, it's okay. It's all the same. It's just what you're looking for. You know, at Christmas, you can use white chocolate with a little bit of red food coloring to make your candy cane bark, which would be, you know, toffee with the chocolate, and then you drizzle that red white chocolate on it and swirl it in, and you have your Christmas bark. So a lot of variations on this toffee recipe. It just depends on which nuts you like to use. Some, you know, I like to use pecans once in a while. I love to use toasted whole and slivered almonds once in a while. But today I'm using chopped up walnuts because I just like the butteriness of a walnut on the toffee. And then we're going to be using this toffee to make our coffee toffee gelato, which we'll chop this up, put it in right into our coffee gelato. All right, so I see that our butter is melted. We can start adding the sugar slowly. You don't really want to get a lot of sugar stuck to the side of the pot. You mix the sugar in slowly, get that all dissolved in your butter. Still have it on a medium-low heat. Once we get all this butter melted, we're saving our vanilla for when our toffee has cooked to the 290 degree point. I like to use the candy thermometer because you can watch it as it climbs. And when you get one, buy one that's metal like this, because if you buy a candy thermometer like this, which has a plastic housing, and you put this on here, this plastic tends to melt because this gets so hot. So the metal thermometer is best. Our butter, sugar, and salt right now is on a low heat. You can see how it's boiling. We don't want that on high because we'll burn it. And we're at about 235, 240 right now, which is a soft crack. And you know, we want to go past a hard ball, which is about 285, 290. So we let this go. We stir it once in a while. We don't whip it. You can see we have a very low flame going. If it's starting to pop and snap at you, you know that you have the heat too hot. You have to have it at a low simmer so it's just doing a nice light boil. I mean, we're getting little bubbles and pops, but nothing that's snapping at you. You know, you're not supposed to get hurt doing this. The difference between 245 and 285, that 40 degrees, it takes a while for it to get there. Because what you're doing is you're caramelizing the sugar in the butter and all the milk solids that are in the butter. So once those milk solids start to evaporate, all that water that's in the butter, then this is going to start caramelizing. So that's what's happening right now. We're cooking all the water out of the butter. We're at 270 right now, so we got about 15 to 20 degrees to go yet. This process takes a little bit of time because now we're caramelizing sugar. You see how it's starting to get a little bit brown. I tried to do this by eye when I first started making toffee years ago. If you don't get it to 290, it'll never set up into a crispy, crunchy toffee. If you're 10 degrees below, if you're at 280, 275, it'll be chewy and it'll pull your fillings out if you have any. So you want to make sure you're using a thermometer for this because it's got to be right on. We're starting to get that light brown color that toffee gets. It means we're caramelizing. It means our milk solids have gone. And now we're cooking the sugar in the butter fat, which gives us this nice creamy, buttery flavor. I like to go to 290 because I want to make sure that this is gonna be crunchy. Look how nice and light brown this is getting. I'm just mixing, I'm making sure that nothing is sticking to the bottom. At this point, at 290, we turn it off. I'm adding my vanilla bean paste. Be careful when you add it, because it'll bubble up on you because there's a little bit of water in that vanilla bean paste or alcohol. We got that mixed in nicely. Look at that color, it's beautiful. Our temperature hit 290. So I'm gonna pull this out. Make sure not to bang it. You don't wanna break the thermometer. We're gonna just set this aside for now. And we're gonna pour this onto our pan in ribbons, so it naturally spreads out. And this should all come out of there just nicely. We get this in water right away, hot water. And this dissolves right off the thermometer by doing this right now. And see how nice and clean that is now? This sheet pan right now is blazing hot. Once we can touch the sheet pan and it's just warm, that's when we'll put the chocolate on. All right, so I can hold the sheet pan now. It's just warm, it's not blazing hot. And you sprinkle the chocolate over this really lightly. And you gotta remember, this is gonna melt and you're gonna spread it around. So we're gonna let this sit on here for a few minutes, and that chocolate is gonna warm up, and then we're gonna spatula it around, and then we're gonna sprinkle our nuts on it. And then we're gonna put it on the counter for tomorrow. Offset spatula so your finger doesn't drag through the chocolate. And you can see that this chocolate is melted, and you lightly go across the surface. I let this chocolate sit on here about 10 minutes. Get that chocolate evenly spread out. And again, like I said, you can use white chocolate and dark chocolate chips and swirl them in. There's so many different nuts you can use. And then we put on a nice layer of walnuts while that chocolate is still soft. So when it hardens up, you know, I use a half a cup of chopped nuts to the 1 pound recipe. I got 2 cups of nuts here for the 4 pound recipe. As you can see, works out perfect. All right, next we're gonna get this over to a cool area in the dining room. And if you don't have one of these fancy domes, just lightly cover with plastic. This is the toffee. We don't refrigerate this, otherwise it'll sweat and it'll separate the chocolate from the toffee. We don't want that. We made this toffee for a gelato, and we found that a lot of people wanted to buy it. So we're making this toffee to sell now.